Hi there, welcome to Unknown Truths. Did you know there are places on Earth that are still untouched and unexplored? Today we are going to talk about world's most mysterious places about which you will be surprised to hear. Before we begin, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on our new videos and do like this video. Number 1. Crooked Forest, Poland. Nobody knows what happened to the pine trees in this strange and eerie forest, and to date it remains a mystery. The Crooked Forest is a grove of 400 oddly shaped pine trees located near the town of Gryfino, West Pomerania in Poland. The pine trees were planted around 1930 when its location was still within the German province of Pomerania. From the base, the pine trees grow with a 90-degree sharp bend northward but then curve back to grow straight up into the sky. Despite the unnatural curves bending 3 to 9 feet sideways at their bases, these trees are generally healthy and grow up to 50 feet tall. There are many theories on the mystery, although there is little to no evidence to support any of them. Some hypothesize that a unique gravitational pull in this particular area caused the trees to grow curved northwards, but this theory does not hold up to basic scientific scrutiny given that gravity pulls things downward and not at a curve. Others guess that the heavy snowfall in the area weighed down the trees as they were sprouting, causing them to grow crookedly at the base. But this theory does not explain why other groups of pine trees and assorted vegetation in the same area were not affected. Some suspect that the trees were grown for the rims of wooden cart wheels, as the grain direction would have produced very tough wheels. The most widespread and most likely explanation is that local farmers planted and manipulated the trees when they planted them in 1930. But it is estimated that the trees were 7 to 10 years old when they experienced the force that resulted in trunk curvature. Were the trees intentionally altered by local farmers? Did the trees naturally bend northwards? Many people have been trying to find an answer to this mystery, but since the town of Gryfino was largely abandoned between the early stages of World War II until the 1970s, the people who were there before the war and probably had the answer to the mystery of the Crooked Forest are now likely gone forever. Number 2. Unconquered. We are well aware of the tallest mountain in the world, the mighty Mount Everest, submitted by several mountaineers, but how many of us are aware of the tallest unclimbed mountain in the world? The mountain that no mountaineer had the heart of setting foot on. Yes, we are talking about Bhutan's Unconquered, also known as White Peak of the Three Spiritual Brothers. Unconquered stands tall at a height of 24,836 feet above sea level on the border of Bhutan and China. Until date, there is no record of its summit by anyone. Now think, if mountaineers climbed their way up to Mount Everest, which is at 29,000 plus feet above sea level, why has Unconquered stayed unconquered? Well, the answer to this obvious question is that the national law of Bhutan does not allow people to climb the mountains in the region. According to the Bhutanese customs and traditions, mountains are considered extremely sacred and are home to gods and spirits. However, before the law was made, some expeditions to win over Unconquered did take place, though all went in vain. A number of mountaineers had to turn back or halt the journey in the middle of some inexplicable reasons. Number 3. Eternal Flame Falls. Fire and water don't mix. Everyone knows that. But there is a mysterious and magical place in western New York State where the laws of nature don't apply, and visitors can see a small flame burning brightly in a waterfall. Eternal Flame Falls in Shale Creek Preserve continues to baffle geologists with its continuous flame. Legend says a Native American lit the flame hundreds of years ago. The waterfall itself, part of Chestnut Ridge Park, is not particularly impressive. It is made of stratified shale with numerous ledges and little outcroppings, over which the water cascades. At the base of waterfall, however, there is a small grotto. Natural gas seeps through a fissure in the rock, fueling the eternal flame which shines brightly through the water. According to local legends, a Native American lit the flame long ago and it has burned ever since. That is not entirely true. Occasionally, the flame is extinguished and needs to be relit with a simple flick of a lighter. Instead of being a true eternal flame, it is actually an eternal gas leak. Number 4. Research structure. Have you ever wondered why you never see photos of crop circles from the ground level? Every crop circle photo shows them from the air, right? That's because from the ground level, crop circles are rather unremarkable. The same is true for the Eye of the Sahara. Astronauts love to observe the Eye of the Sahara from the space because it's look like landing site of a 40-kilometer wide flying saucer. The truth is a trifle less sensational. It's the remnants of a dome that has taken 100 million years to erode. Geologists believe that the eye's formation began when the supercontinent Pangaea started to pull apart. For centuries, only a few local nomadic tribes knew about the formation. It was first photographed in 1960s by the Gemini astronauts who used it as a landmark to track the process of their landing sequences. Later, the Landsat satellite took additional images and provided information about the size, height, and extent of the formation. Number 5. Nazca Juleps. The Nazca lines in Peru have baffled mankind for quite a long time, and now the mystery is even more intriguing. They are a series of enormous geoliths etched into a roughly 200 square mile stretch of the desert, created by pre-Inca people somewhere between the 4th century BC and the 10th century AD. This early land art features lines measuring as long as 30 miles and are best viewed from the air or from surrounding hillsides. A team of researchers say that Nazca lines represent one of the most attractive ancient mysteries in the world. It's hypothesized that the geoliths had the ritual astronomical functions, but no one knows for sure. It's the geometric shapes that are focus of their new research, ranging from triangles to trapezoids and spirals. Even the figure of a human, which has been dubbed the astronaut. Some 70 depictions of plants and animals can be seen, but researchers has discovered that some of Peru's massive creations were identified incorrectly and that the figures are actually of birds who lived far away from the site of tulips. This clearly raises many new questions. Tests have shown that this occurred over a period of some 500 years, most likely between the 1st and 6th centuries, a prolonged effort to say the least. Number 6. The Skeleton Lake. Nestled in the Indian Himalayas, some 16,500 feet above sea level, sits Skeleton Lake, also known as Rupkund Lake. 133 feet wide, it is frozen for much of the year, a frosty pond in a lonely snowbound valley. But on warmer days, it delivers a spooky performance, as hundreds of human skeletons, some with flesh still attached, emerge from what has become known as Skeleton Lake. Who were these individuals, and what befallen them? One leading idea was that they died simultaneously in a catastrophic event more than 1,000 years ago. An unpublished anthropological survey from several years studied 5 skeletons and estimated they were 1,200 years old. How all these individuals met their end is anyone's guess. There is no evidence of bacterial infections, so an epidemic was probably not to blame. Perhaps the challenging high-altitude environment proved fatal. The earlier study of 5 skeletal samples found 3 with unhealed compression fractures, perhaps inflicted by huge hailstones. Although that conclusion is open to debate, in any case across a range of centuries, it's hard to believe that each individual died in exactly the same way, said Harney, a doctoral student at Harvard and the lead author on the study. The individuals included children and elderly adults, but none were family relatives. Chemical signatures from the skeleton indicates that the individuals had significantly different diets, adding support to the notion that several distinct population groups are represented. Number 7. Island of Dolls. The Island of Dolls, located in the vast network of canals that lies to the south of Mexico City near Xochimilco, is one of the creepiest tourist attractions in Mexico. Here, among the branches and dead trees hang hundreds of old mutilated dolls. The story goes that some half a century ago, a little girl drowned off a small island hidden deep amongst the canals of Xochimilco. The island's only permanent inhabitant was a hermit named Don Julian Santana Pereira, who, despite having a wife and a family, chose to live alone on the island. Soon after the girl's death, Pereira fished out one doll after another from the canals, convinced that this was a sign from the evil spirit. Don Julian Santana began hanging them on trees to protect himself from evil and calm the spirit of the dead girl. Soon, Don Julian Santana had made the entire island into a shrine. Santana did not clean up the dolls or attempt to fix them, but rather put them up with missing eyes and limbs, covered in dirt. Even when dolls arrived in good shape, the wind and weather naturally decomposed them over time, creating a gallery of eerie and ghoulish faces. While the sun damages the dolls by leaving many of them covered in bubbles, blotches, and blisters, the wind and rain have also left their marks, eroding surface paint and leaving behind pale skull-like faces, or gradually gnawing away the dolls' fake hair to create jagged tufts that make them look as if they are suffering from an agonizing wasting disease. Many are also missing arms or legs, or have been given the limb of another doll that clearly doesn't match, and even toys without heads are welcome on the island. Many strung from washing lines or shoved into the gaps between branches, their exposed necks becoming a home for exotic spiders and insects that inhabit this sprawling agricultural region. Don Julian Santana lived on the island for 50 years before his death in 2001. He was found drowned in the same area in which he believed the little girl had died. If you liked this video, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on our new video.